Ladies and gentlemen, there was an album that was famously called The Ozman Comet. It was Ozzy Osbourne's greatest hits. But something tells me tonight we're going to get to hear the Killjoy Comet. Killjoy's greatest hits from some companies that he's been a part of, such as, of course, our friends at Nonstop Action Wrestling, Blackheart Wrestling, TNT Wrestling, and who knows who else we'll speak with, because I got a feeling this is going to be well worth the wait and some. So with further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show pro wrestling star here. His name is Killjoy.
Absolute music to my ears.
You were the first person that actually, when I was doing the intros, was actually almost like bobbing around with it. It was actually like getting into it. Sometimes I have wrestlers come on and they kind of wait. Although the Lord Man Kyle Kennedy, to be fair, kind of does it a little bit. He kind of does the head weave a little bit and the bobbing. But you were the first one that was almost like, you were like almost getting like right into it there, my friend.
How could I not, my friend? I felt like I was in Madison Square Garden getting it out.
Well, I guess I live relatively about an hour or so away from Madison Square Garden via car, so I guess on a good day. So maybe that's a good thing. But we feel like we're certainly at Be Strong and Fitness in Swinton right now. That's our Madison Square Garden when it comes to Nonstop Action Wrestling. And you were certainly a huge part of things. And obviously, it is a tremendous honor and certainly love speaking with you. We've already got comments on the board that have on here. We'll get to those shortly. But, I mean, set the tables for us, for those that are listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio, and just what kind of wrestler is Killjoy and what we can expect coming up here in Nonstop Action Wrestling, Blackheart, and beyond.
Well, obviously, the Killjoy is fairly new to the wrestling business. I've been around for years and years. I'm just getting started. I have a lot of aims. I've even got what I call a kill list myself.
Wow, okay. That reminds me of the Billy Madison movie where the character that Adam Sandler sort of gets help from at the end of the movie had a list of people in high school that he wanted to basically, kill off, you might want to say.
Is this the part where I say I actually got the list from that movie?
Well, if you did, certainly, I would just hope that I'm not on the list. I hope I'm like Adam Sandler, where when you're going to basically do what you do, you look at me and give the kind of nod at the end of the movie. That would be my hope.
Oh, absolutely. Don't worry, my friend. You are absolutely safe. I'm not the Killjoy. Yes, I have a list. I've got quite a few people, quite a few places I want to go to. Like I said, I'm very new. I've only been in this business for about a year and a half now. First time I ever had a training session. It's absolutely amazing what I've been able to do so far. Of course, it wasn't just me. I've had help along the way from a lot of good friends of mine. For example, from NSAW. Big up my boy, Connor Cage. Connor Cage, one of my absolute best friends in this industry.
I just watched Connor's match last night at NSAW Asylum against Dante O'Cara, so I certainly I'm a big fan of Connor.
Absolutely. The golden boy for life. Also, I'd be lying if I said I didn't find a slight bit of enjoyment when Connor smashed Dante's face in.
I think there was even some wrestlers and fans you wouldn't have expected, I think also enjoyed that. So I'll find that out Monday night when I ask Mr. O'Cara about that, because I'm going to be asking him that at the top of the show when we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Killjoy's type of wrestler. I guess I'm the type of wrestler who wants to get people into wrestling. Like,
tell me why.
Right now, there's a lot of people who have become like disenfranchised with the business over the years, whether that was from WWE or the tribalism from the AEW NXT thing.
Sure.
I'm a wrestler who, even though I'm new, I want to get people, especially people of my generation, into wrestling. Because, like, I know it wasn't like back then, but back in the 90s, all the kids that went to American high schools had the Stone Cold 316 shirts. Triple H, they'd always go around the house to the
I had NWL Wolfpack, red and black. I had a Warriors War almost jersey. I didn't have the Austin, but I did have, my brothers had Degeneration X, which is Triple H. So yeah, we did have that back in the late 90s. Yes, I can admit it.
But yeah, especially people my generation. I really want to get like my generation into wrestling because I feel like there's something really special. Because one thing wrestling is good at, it brings people together. Like as much as it like separates people like from I spot this company, it brings people together for a common cause, which is we are wrestling fans, we love wrestling, and therefore it would only make sense to band together to support the industry we all love and all want to be in one day.
Absolutely, no question about that. And I know I've said this here on the air, and I've been doing this for about 3.5 years. And what I've always said about wrestling compared to other sports around the world, where is it football around the world or American football or even sports like baseball, they don't necessarily maybe connect with everyone. Whereas professional wrestling, if you take a step back for a second, leave aside where we're from, right? You obviously have a massive scene here in the UK, which we've been talking about here on Sportswire Radio for about 1.5 years. You've got obviously Japan, you've got Mexico, which is legendary. Even in Canada, you have a scene, and of course, your major companies. But the all bond about that is that all these places around the world who otherwise would maybe have nothing in common, but when it comes to professional wrestling, you can basically talk. You can basically, become friends and have something that I think brings people together. As you point out, it almost equated to what heavy metal used to be like. Whereas with heavy metal, all the band, you were a fan of this band or that band, they throw somebody's jersey or shirt on a patch. It was like, okay, all of a sudden, that's a great point as to why also we have here our very good friend, Mr. Killerjoy. So then getting into that, obviously you are the Cult of Killjoy, and one of the first things that stand out is the shirt here. I mean, talk about the design, talk about how that all came about, because that was the first thing that caught my attention about you, my friend.
Well, the Cult of Killjoy, it came from two places. Number one, what I said earlier about bringing wrestling together. The Cult of Killjoy, obviously, it's not a cult. I'm not inviting you all in to then make human sacrifices or kill a goat. It's all about like bringing people together as part of something.
Okay.
And in terms of what it means right now, to me, it means a lot because I've had friends who've tried to pursue wrestling and they, for whatever reason, they couldn't make it. I had a friend of mine who unfortunately, he was a long-time wrestling fan. We had a plan. We were going to become a tag team. We were going to go into the industry together. Sadly, he's not here anymore. So,
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But it was, but we talked about, because we were actually going to become the Killjoys.
Oh.
We were going to become the Killjoys, and so that's kind of where I got the Killjoy part from, because I thought that name means something to me. And I'm hoping one day, if I work hard enough, if I put the effort in, that name can mean something to someone else as well. Like,
let me ask you then a question, because you bring up your friend, and he was a huge wrestling fan like you, and unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Do you feel like that? And I almost have to put you on the spot. I don't know if you were prepared for this or not. Neither was I, but do you almost feel like that whatever you do in your wrestling career very well could be dedicated to him?
Yeah. Like very, very much so, yeah. To be honest, I didn't expect to bring this up either, but very much most of what I do as Killjoy is dedicated to him. That's why I always striving to get better, to get stronger, faster, quicker, be a better wrestler than I am now, because in a way, that's me doing him proud. That's me doing our dream together proud. And who knows, maybe I'll find another tag partner down the line. Maybe I'll find more success, gold. But whatever I do, I want to be dedicated to him, because I feel like that will have the most meaning. And in wrestling, everything's more special when it means something.
Do you feel like when it comes to whatever is of your career, do you feel like, and also that you might have maybe more incentive than, let's say, the average wrestler? Because it's one thing. I mean, look, we saw the story about Tommy Dillon and how he got into wrestling later on in life, and then his obvious situation with his first wife. And there were other stories out there. I interviewed the Cumbrian outlaw Rick Marcus. He didn't start his career right away. Sheriff Steele and KOW, and was now Commissioner Steele. I mean, there's a long list of people for different reasons. The natural born fighter R.P. Davis was a boxing champion and had an injury, but you're different in the sense that, you did have a friend you were going to team with, and he was just like you. You probably were brothers in a sense, and kind of like an Edge and Christian thing. And unfortunately, he's not with us. But do you feel like for your career, before I get to some comments, that you might actually have a little bit more incentive to do as well as you can because of kind of that situation, how it impacted you?
From time to time, yeah. Sometimes it is more difficult because I'm thinking, sometimes as a wrestler, you're not going to feel like, yeah, let's wrestle all the time, every time. It hurts,
Right.
You'll be sweating. But whenever I feel like that, and I sometimes do feel like that, by using him, I'm kind of using that as motivation because sometimes something be quite devastating, can be a demotivator. It can make you want to just hide away, go, no, not today. For me, that motivates me. For me, that is something that I can treasure and can honor. And whether that's through the shirt or whether that's through the symbol on my hand or whether that's from a particular match I have down the line, that's something that I want to treasure. And I feel like if I do that and if I put that work in, if I use that as a motivator, it's kind of what he would have wanted. I can't speak for him, but that's
obviously
that's my thinking.
No question that you can't speak for him, but you can certainly have his memory live on. And our very good friend, Mr. Goliath, who's going to be a very, very busy man tomorrow night. Obviously, he is certainly the topic of many in the minds of GT Ministries and beyond, says the Cult of Killjoy in full force. I guess knife in full force. I guess that's what he would, I guess, for the emoji. So I almost have to ask him, put you on the spot because Goliath is on here. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the back and forth between Enso talent and GTM, and certainly this whole thing with Gareth Angel and Goliath. Certainly Remus Kane. We're going to get to Mr. Kane in a little while as well. But I mean, what do you make of this whole situation between Enso talent and GTM, and also obviously because Goliath's here tuned in? I mean, Goliath and Gareth Angel. I mean, what do you see happening there?
Well, first of all, if you were to ask me a prediction, I would absolutely say Goliath. Gareth's good, Gareth's strong, but Goliath is a beast. Honestly,
I know he's a big man. I mean, I've had him on here a couple times, and you look at his face, you look at those eyes, and you look at the size of him, and you're like, well, I mean, Gareth Angel is certainly a big deal, but has Gareth Angel faced somebody like Goliath? And the answer is no.
Honestly, back then when Neil Armstrong went to the moon, he wouldn't need a rocket. He would have got Goliath to give him a hit toss. He would have made it, no problem. Honestly, Goliath is a beast. I have lots of respect for Goliath as well. Like,
so do I. I like Goliath. I'm a fan of Goliath.
Some of the stuff I've seen him do, a man of his size should not be able to do. He's absolutely amazing. He's a really I respect him a lot as well as just a person. Like, he's genuinely absolutely.
He's a good man off the air. He's a good man. He's a good man off the air.
And yeah, I think that's gonna be a difference maker because I always find something, and I may be going a bit off bucket. I always find something slightly disingenuous about Gareth Angel.
Tell me why. You tell me why.
I always feel like some of the stuff he says about, Angel Army, let's go, let's all come together and let's all do this. That's a bit disingenuous. I think he's just trying a bit of self-promotion, self-propaganda, if you will. And Mr. Angel, for as much as I respect him, for as much as he's done very good work with GTM, I sometimes wonder how truthful he can be. With Goliath, you know what you're getting. With Angel, not so much. And as strong as Angel is, and as fast as Angel is, Goliath's a beast. And I think Goliath will have what it takes to put down the big man of GTM.
Well, we'll certainly find out. And also, Connor Cage is tuned in here. Huge shout out and congratulations to Connor on getting a much needed win at Asylum against Dante Okara, which I'll be speaking a lot about that match Monday night, 8:30 p.m. with, of course, Mr. Okara. But you said something interesting I want to go back to because obviously Mr. Angel has been a huge topic on Sportswire Radio for a very, very long time. And I interviewed Gareth Angel a while back when he was still the GTM World Champion. So I know Mr. Angel very well, but you said something that I almost have to go back to because you talked about the fact that he might be a little bit self-serving, disingenuous. And do you think that's maybe a part of, let's say, how some might perceive, let's say, the religious movement? Because there are some that say, well, you're always preaching about the Bible, you're preaching about God, and and I'm a reverend, so I can say this, right? So I'm a reverend, obviously. So there are some people that'll say, well, like for example, I'll give you an example in my own life. I would do something, and I have my mother, for example, say, wow, you believe this and you believe that. Do you kind of feel like maybe it's because of what maybe Mr. Angel talks about when it comes to, I don't know, his day in and day life and the preaching? Do you think that that's maybe that the religion plays into it, how some would perceive him maybe be to a little bit as disingenuous or self-serving? Is that fair to say?
Well, on topic of religion, I'll use a famous quote. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Oh,
I think that Gareth Angel is saving face here, using that cross as almost a cover-up.
Oh, wow. I did not see that one coming. I mean, clearly Killjoy is certainly, he has something up his sleeve. I mean, because I never thought about that. So you're saying that Mr. Angel, he actually believes something totally different than what he may actually say and everything else. I never thought of that.
I believe so. I believe, and I'm not saying he does this all the time, but I'm saying sometimes, to me, he sells his Christianity, he sells his Bible, he sells his belief and faith and religion, almost in a way to not brainwash, but manipulate the good people of GTM, so in that way they can get on his side and he can use that to put himself in a more favorable position. Especially, it's no secret that Angel and Jack Johnson, the current GTM champion.
Oh, I know Mr. Johnson very well. I know him very well.
They're actually best friends. And by the way, there is no one probably more than me who wants to see Jack Johnson get his head kicked off and that belt taken from him.
I don't know about 20 plus wrestlers in the last month that since Jack Johnson has been champion in the last 3 months, there is not one wrestler I have said, hey, I want Jack Johnson to stay as champion. So that's for sure.
Hey, who knows? Maybe even the Killjoy can kick his head off.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, but I'll certainly say when it comes to Mr. Angel, before I get to Goliath's comment, I think about, for whatever reason, the Ozzy Osbourne song, Miracle Man, for whatever reason, and that was that song where it's basically about this guy, Jimmy Swaggart, and he's supposed to be this, all of a sudden, TV evangelist, and next thing you know, he's doing things. Now, Mr. Angel, I don't think is Jimmy Swaggart, but certainly when it comes to things that what Killjoy has said, maybe that's one to ponder in consideration, but these are also reasons why you need to follow GT Ministries UK, of course, on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and also make sure you give Killjoy a follow and like on Facebook. But let me get to Goliath here. He says that Gareth Angel, God's so-called chosen champion, will fall in ruin tomorrow night. I can assure you of that, Mr. Killjoy. And of course, the respect is mutual. So that's his response to you. So I guess that's
Thank you, my friend. Please rip the man bun off his head.
So let me ask you then, because obviously, let's go back to it, because obviously we know you represent Enso. We'll get to your last match. We'll get to some Blackheart, because obviously you were part of things at Blackheart, and there's a lot of synergy, I think, between Blackheart and Nonstop Action Wrestling, and I definitely want to discuss that for sure. But, you obviously have heard about all these different wrestlers that have come on here and talked about this 30-person Ready to Rumble, and obviously Jack Johnson you talked about as well, and the winner of that Rumble will have a shot to face Jack Johnson in September, and we're all pretty much in agreement that Jack Johnson's on borrowed time, that Jack Johnson's basically going to be a champion, a temporary champion. He's just holding the title to whoever else wins the Rumble tomorrow night at the Fountains Church. But I look at the poster, right? And I was trying to find Killjoy on the poster, right? And I was looking for something from GT Ministries management that had something to say toward, well, Killjoy, right? I got you. You're basically the last person that I'm going to have before the Fountains Church tomorrow night, which, by the way, on Sportswire Radio, we are streaming the audio version of it on Sportswire Radio over on sportnarium.com/player. And I might, if my voice is up for it, I might actually do a little bit of commentary on the audio. I just might. Let's see how my voice is holding up. We'll certainly see. But I didn't see you advertise. I haven't heard anything about it. You're the last person I'm getting on here that's going to be a part of Enso or anywhere else that's going to be possibly at the Fountains Church tomorrow night. So I got to ask you, what's going on here?
Well, the magician now reveals his secrets. I can I could say, while I haven't been advertised for GTM, of course, never say never. In terms of the Rumble tomorrow, I very much hope one of our NSAW guys wins it. I very much hope one of our NSAW guys is able to go on to then beat Jack Johnson, and we can hold the GTM ministry proud for Non-Stop Action Wrestling. But in terms of for the future of Killjoy and GTM, I mean, I'm always open. Spreading the good name of Killjoy is what I do, is what I strive to do whenever I can. And my hope is one day that Mr. Angel and I can have a little chat about who the real Gareth Angel is.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, here, I think I just heard that Killjoy wants to talk with Mr. Angel about who's really who and who's fooling who here. Certainly, I think that we just heard a couple of different pipe bombs here, to say the least, and Goliath is tuned in here and says Killjoy is surely one to watch and has a great future in wrestling, especially with Enso. And of course, if you like what you hear from Nonstop Action Wrestling, I highly encourage you, give them a follow, NSAW Official on Instagram. Also like their Facebook page, also YouTube, because we're getting Asylum content posted regularly where you get commentary from Joshua Snow. And of course, we're going to see Killjoy, a huge part of things over at NSAW and Blackheart Wrestling. And if you do like what you hear from Killerjoy, give him a follow on Instagram at kill_joy_x, where you can get more information on buying a t-shirt like he has. And I'll put it out there. I will make sure I buy one of his shirts in the near and distant future. So certainly we will make sure of that. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. I want to go back to GT Ministries for a second and going back into NSAW, because obviously I think, and we'll get your thoughts on the announcement that Mixed Knights made earlier this week, but I want to ask you, and I kind of feel like in a lot of ways that tomorrow night at the Fountains Church is the coming out party for Nonstop Action Wrestling for NSAW, because I look at it and say, we've got Goliath and Gareth Angel, right? We've got the NSAW showcase match between Remus Kane, the wild card Tommy Dillon, and Gungho Motley. That's a bizarre team, to say the least, against Connor Cage, Supersonic Sammy Blue, and the Super Dad Champ Rogers. So, and obviously we have my guy Disciple, who's been a world champion. He's been a Rumble winner, and he's a part of things now at Nonstop Action Wrestling. And he's in the beginning of his comeback tour in a fatal four-way match against Rarebit, who, by the way, is the BTW champion, the Metal God Alex Boylan, and Sean Only, who, by the way, is the head trainer over at GTM. And the winner of that match could very well be the number 30 participant and win that Rumble. So it's a huge day upcoming, I think, for Nonstop Action Wrestling. Fair to say, leave aside my bias, do you feel like, in a lot of ways, that tomorrow night is the coming out party for Nonstop Action Wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. Like, everything Non-Stop's doing right now, especially the announcement MX Knights made, which of course we'll get into in a bit.
Absolutely.
Like, the NSAW GTM rivalry, partnership, whatever you want to call it, that can... I fail to see how it is anything other than good for NSAW, because NSAW hasn't been going that long. We haven't been around for ages. But what we've been able to achieve in such a short time, for me, is absolutely mind-blowing. Like, we've got a good reputation, we've got good talent, we've got good facilities, we have a ring, we have promotional material that absolutely... It blows some WWE posters I've seen recently out of the water, our promotional material.
Like, I would agree. I tell you what, I would agree in terms of that. There are some things that I look at and I say, what is WWE doing? But I look at Enso, what Enso is doing, and it's like game-changing.
Absolutely, yeah. In terms of GTM and NSAW, I think we've got something good here. NSAW talent getting able to showcase their absolutely amazing abilities in front of new people, going up against new opponents as well. That can, for me, only elevate NSAW, which is, of course, is an absolutely amazing thing, because these guys, I train with these guys. These guys are absolutely worthy and deserve to be elevated. Like, these guys are such amazing talents, and the NSAW and GTM management should be looking at that and thinking, okay, let's keep doing this. Let's have another pay-per-view in the future. Maybe even a Forbidden Door type thing. We'd call it Forbidden Windowsill. Like, honestly, there's absolutely opportunity here to elevate so many great NSAW guys. And I genuinely think this could be something really good for the future and could build to something even bigger.
I absolutely do, and I want to give Jenny Hayes a shout out very quickly. And she says Enso are going to show GTM how it's done. A very strong possibility, of course. The rock idol of the UK. Huge shout out as always to Jenny Hayes. It was a tremendous honor to have Jenny on here. But I could not agree with you more because I speak with a lot of different wrestling companies here in the UK, right? And there are some companies that they really embrace what you are doing. Obviously, when it comes to Enso and certainly Mr. Angel at GTM and a few other companies, CCW comes to mind as well, Cutlery Championship Wrestling. I like to give them some recognition. And those companies kind of get it. BTW as well, I think, does a good job in trying to work with these other companies. Then there are some other companies, and I don't mean to disrespect them. I mean, you can look at my background. You probably know what I'm talking about. And they're kind of pretty much, well, they're into their thing, and it's like they don't want to cross over, and that's fine. Listen, people want to do what they want. God bless them. That's their decision to do it with their pounds. But I kind of really do feel like for everybody, and I continue to say this, and I've been saying this for about 4 or 5 months when I first had on Gareth when he came on to Sportswire Radio, and I kind of feel like it is good for everybody because yes, Enso has some phenomenal talent. Connor Cage, yourself, Goliath. I look at even people like, listen, Champ Rogers. I look at Supersonic Sammy Blue, Jenny Hayes. I mean, Dante O'Cara. It's a long list of people. I say, you know what? They're up and coming talent, but you know what? These are the kind of people that you build around. These are the kind of people that you have to build up. So I kind of really think, like, to me, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they're not. Are we all megastars now? No, we're not meant to be now. We build up, we elevate, and stuff like this helps us elevate. Stuff like this helps us get better. And I fail to see, because of course, I know some other companies that are very much like, we're in our own lane, you're in your own lane, do not interact with us at all. And to an extent, I get that. Like, it's your company, you do what you want to. But I fail to see how collaborating with another company, using talent, pitting talent against each other in supercards, that elevates both companies, gives talent who have never had that much of a spotlight on them finally get that spotlight and get that chance to prove themselves. I fail to see how that is anything other than good. It boggles my mind sometimes how, for example, the AEW New Japan show, the Forbidden Door.
Yep.
Some people criticize that because it's like, well, both companies should stay in their own lanes, which I don't. To be honest, I don't really get because, like, yeah, they're big, but it elevates both companies. It gives the fans something they want to see, like dream matches they never would have even thought they'd ever see.
Absolutely.
And like stuff like that, absolutely, like, it absolutely gives me life. To be honest, I love.
Oh, so do I. Listen, I mean, and I don't understand it, and we'll kind of tie this into Enso and GTM and CCW as well, because I think CCW gets it as well. But I mean, I looked at it like all growing up after WCW went out of business and ECW went out of business, which was pretty much the same time, right? So you really didn't have, at least from the major companies, WWE basically doesn't really work with anybody. They don't really do anything. There's been like a moment or two here and there. They don't do nothing. TNA, at times they tried different things, but it didn't really work, right? So, but now, because you have places like AEW, you have places like New Japan that are doing it. Impact and AEW had a relationship for a while. The NWA had a relationship with AEW. And I kind of think that is what you want. You want to see people have different opportunities. And also, I've said this also, and this goes back to coming over locally here with Enso, GTM, and let's say CCW, and you want to throw in there Blackheart, you want to throw in there BTW, Immortal, I'm fine with all that as well. But it gives also wrestlers jobs. It gives wrestlers the opportunity to be able to hone their craft more. It gives wrestlers that opportunity to say, you know what, maybe I want to face this person. I can learn. I can be in a different locker room. I can be with a different wrestler that can maybe give me input and ideas that I may not have had. When I'm in one place in one lane, that's what you listen. To me, I think it's a no-brainer here. And Connor Cage is tuned in here. Let me get to Connor. Nobody has ever improved staying in a bubble, pushing boundaries. New talent showcased fresh matchups and a stronger wrestling scene. So, obviously, all that stuff is fantastic. So I want to come over back, though, to Enso. I want to come over to you, my friend. The last time we saw you in the ring, which I believe was at Summertime Slaughterhouse. So let's talk about that last match, and then let's talk about where do we go from here with Killjoy and Nonstop Action Wrestling. So let's talk about your last match, and where do you think we go from here?
Well, the last match, Sometimes Slaughterhouse, I fought a man who I knew a bit about. I hadn't met him before, but I knew a bit about. A man by the name of Tom Steele.
I know Tom Steele. Yes.
Now, Tom, initially, I followed through his matches at UKW.
Yep.
Because at that time, he was there. He wasn't their Genesis champion, but it went under the belt went under a different name.
Yeah. Right.
But I'd seen some of his matches. I was excited to face him because I thought, hey, it's gonna be nice. We have a one-on-one match. Well, one match, good spot and match. Whoever wins, we'll shake hands afterwards. It'll be peaches and cream. But there's a man who decided to stick his beaky little nose into things. A man by the name of the Major. Now, the Major, I've heard a lot of his campaign speeches. He's been talking about how he's a new strong force in British wrestling, and he's taken Tom under his wing. Personally, I don't know why Tom would say yes to a mustache like that, but each to their own. And, you know, Tom bought the fire. I bought as much fire as he gave me. In the end, unfortunately, I didn't come out on top. He was able to get the best of me. And, you know, I thought I was going to be able to walk out, hold my head up high, and think, you know what? I don't understand why Tom's aligned himself with this weird man. But you know what? Fair enough. But the Major, he couldn't quite let me go for whatever reason. And whether that's he felt threatened by me, he thought that I'd been a nuisance. Because initially, it wasn't going to be me in that match. It was meant to be another good friend of mine, Cannon Hayes. Unfortunately, circumstances occurred where I stepped in instead. And for some reason, the Major didn't quite like that. And so what he did was he got his little general of blood, a man by the name of Drac Cross.
Oh, okay. I know Drac Cross. Sorry, I know Drac Cross. Okay.
He dropped me on the back of my head, and they decided, you know what, while he's down, let's have a little salute parade over my body. That I didn't let slide. And me and the Major, if you've seen before, I've gone back and forth on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Captain Sillybeard, we still don't like each other. But it is what it is. I have respect for Tom Steele. I just don't have respect for the man who watched Blackadder once and thought, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm putting this out on record. I haven't forgotten what the Major's done to me. I haven't forgotten what Drac Cross did to me. And you better believe the Killjoy is out for revenge. Whether that's now, whether that's later. I still want the Major. I still want his boys. And I want to see if I can get some revenge for what they did to me at Summertime Slaughterhouse.
Well, I could certainly see why you'd want some revenge there. I mean, we do have an event coming up, Fire and Gold for sure, which I'm going to get your thoughts on when it comes to that 8-person world-class title tournament and seeing if you'd be a participant in that. But, I mean, how badly do you want him? I mean, how badly do you say, you know what? Do you even say, well, and I don't even know how far we're going down the pike with this, but do you want it to where, what if the option is putting you in that tournament for the world-class title or revenge? I mean, is that something you've pondered? Because management still hasn't announced the participants yet. We obviously know the only thing we know right at the moment right now is Kyle Kennedy, the lawman, the undefeated lawman Kyle Kennedy, and Connor Cage are going to have a rematch, which was originally for the spot of Connor Cage's. But we don't know anybody else. I mean, so how bad do you want him again?
I absolutely want revenge, but for the opportunity to be the first world-class champion of NSAW, that's very special. That would be very special to me. It'll be the first title I've ever held. It'll be the first champion NSAW have had, and like I said before, I want that to mean something. And so, why not both? Let's see. Let's just go down the rabbit hole a bit. I'm announced for Fire and Gold. I go on to win the championship. Hard-fought victory after hard-fought victory. And then maybe once I have that belt, I can get Captain Sillybeard to come back. Maybe whoop 2 of his boys. And that'll be the ultimate revenge. I hold my belt in the air over the bodies of Drac Cross, Tom Steele, and even the Major himself if I have to.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, I think that we have heard something here from Killerjoy that he has pretty much announced and declared that he wants to be in the world-class tournament, he's going to win it, and then he's pretty much deciding who he's giving title shots on. So pretty much, I didn't even have to ask you. You basically said, yeah, I want to be in the tournament. Yeah, I want to win it. And then here's who I'm facing right afterwards. That's pretty much how I just heard it.
Like, I'm going to record saying, should I win the World-Class Championship? Fingers crossed. Should I be announced for the tournament? Should I then go on to win that belt? Tom Steele, if you want to come back and run it back, I will let you be my first opponent for that championship.
Wow, we got a bombshell. Tom Steele, if you were out there, my friend, Killjoy has basically made his intentions clear. The battle lines have been drawn that basically you have that first shot. So he wins it. You're basically getting the first shot whenever that might be. So Killjoy has pretty much told us here on Sportswire Radio, not only does he want to be in the tournament, he's going to win it. And then the first person he's defending it against is you, Tom Steele. So certainly here on Sportswire Radio, we continue to have many, many more firsts here. That's why we certainly like what Killjoy brings to the table. So, I mean, obviously this would be your first championship, and this is kind of what a way to go. I mean, you think about it, right? I mean, some companies, you win your first championship, and it's like not a minor title, but it's certainly a title. It's not the world title, right? Whether it's a tag team championship, or let's say like UKW, which has around the clock championship, or KOW, we have the Showcase Championship, which is a trophy. I mean, so there are companies that have different variations of kind of almost like up the ladder belts, like let's say WWE has or Impact has, whatever it might be, right? But this would basically be your first, and what a first this would be, being not only a world champion, your first championship, but the first ever NSAW world-class champion. I mean, my friend, I mean, what a way to start. I mean, you could pretty much retire right after this. You win this championship and be a world champion, your first title. I mean, congratulations. You had a great career already. I mean, listen, not too many people can go to the mountain like that. So, I mean, you already have accomplished everything I assume you wanted to intend to set out in the wrestling business then.
Well, World Class Championship would definitely be something on the wish list, but I'd want to win quite a few more golds before I hang the boots up.
I would assume that, obviously, but certainly I was being a little facetious here. But talk about, though, for me, I wanted to get a little bit more of an insight on it because I did ask Mix Knights about it, and I really didn't get a chance to touch on it with Joshua Snow, but I really want to give a shout-out to the Be Strong Performance Fitness Center out there in Swinton, because this is where you see all of your nonstop action wrestling content, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, and Be Strong Performance and Fitness Center, I think we've established, is the home base for nonstop action wrestling. So what does Be Strong Performance, the Fitness Center, mean to you?
Oh, it means quite a lot. Because I've been training in places before I went to NSAW. Okay. I've been training in places where I felt like, and this is not one place in particular, this is multiple places, because I went to a lot of places before I went to NSAW.
Sure.
I couldn't get a good vibe from them, and like they picked themselves up. People were nice enough. Some people were, to be honest, words I can't say on Sportswire Radio. But
I'm glad you said that, because I always use the line. I had the Cumbrian Outlaw Rick Marcus one time, and he was talking about his match against RP Davis, which I'll actually get to RP Davis in a little while, because you sort of have an actual tie to him. And he says a word that you can't say, and then it was funny. He says, "Oops." And then he said it again, but I caught him. I'm like, well, one more time you say it, Rick, we're going to have to go off the air. So, I mean, I'm glad that you caught yourself on that and knew.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been to places before that I just couldn't enjoy. I couldn't feel like I belonged there. I couldn't see myself going the distance there. And admittedly, NSAW was like, and honestly, it was one of the last places, because I was thinking, it's out in Swinton, it's not very local, it's not very well known. Maybe I'll go there. It might not be as good as I think it is, in which case I'll go back to the place I was going beforehand. My first session there, I could not have felt more welcomed if they tried. Like, honestly. And like I knew Mr. Snow from previously, because we'd both worked in UKW together, so I knew him from that.
Okay.
But I could not have felt more welcome there. Like, they made me feel right at home. It felt like I'd been going there for months, even though it was my first session there. The facility is absolutely great as well. Like, lovely people that work at Be Strong. And it also gave me a chance to see what it was like, how to assemble a ring. Because all the places I'd been to, they had their rings already preset. Like, so I knew nothing about how to set up a ring. I knew nothing about what's underneath it.
I always think
It,
that's interesting. I would always think it'd actually be kind of interesting how to learn to set up a ring. I would actually, just from a personal standpoint, would actually think that's a kind of neat thing to know.
yeah, absolutely. Because as soon as I went there and I saw that, it instantly gave me the thing of they're going to teach you everything. They're not just going to teach you stuff inside the ring. They're going to teach you outside the ring, match psychology. They're going to teach you how the ins and outs of wrestling works, which is so important if you want to get far in this industry. Because a lot of places they focus on in-ring stuff, and yes, admittedly, in-ring is probably the most important aspect because it's in the ring. But there's so many other important aspects that a lot of people gloss over. NSAW, they go into it. They go in depth, and that's the best training you can get.
That's an excellent point, because I think that being a professional wrestler, and I had this conversation with a guy who's going to have his first match coming up July 30th in my neck of the woods in New York for a company called House of Glory, and his name is Chris Urban. And, Chris had spoke about the fact that, he had to learn everything, set the ring up. He had to learn how to do training. He had to learn to, show respect with the other wrestlers and everything else. And I think that stuff is important, because I do think that professional wrestling, and I've always said this here over the past 2 years that we've been covering wrestling on Sportswire Radio, is that wrestling to me is like an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship means you have to learn all tools of the trade. You have to be able to network. You have to be able to work with people in different settings. And I kind of think that that's why that you are definitely on your way to doing things. And it's kill_joy_x on Instagram. I'm telling you, you want to follow this guy because he's on his way to doing bigger and better things. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, do give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you can listen to all of our content on sportnarium.com/player, where we will have wall-to-wall coverage tomorrow night. GT Ministries ready to rumble, because we are streaming it on the audio version here. So if you want to hear a little bit of commentary, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to call every single match, but I'm going to try. Let's see how my voice holds up, but I am going to do some commentary. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how my voice holds up. We'll see also if I have the space, because unfortunately, my mother is coming back from a vacation, so we'll see how that all plays out, and we'll see. But in the meantime, we are speaking with the Cult of Killjoy, and he is certainly the man they call Killjoy, getting ready for bigger and better things later this month for places like Blackheart Wrestling and Nonstop Action Wrestling. So you brought up UKW, and our guest that was on a few days ago was Remus Kane. And Remus Kane, we've seen quite a bit in UKW, right? He's been an around-the-clock champion, and he also had a lot to say about you and Nonstop Action Wrestling. So I am sure out there, although I know that Mr. Kane is pulling some important duties for us at GT Ministries, I do know that Mr. Kane somewhere in his society brethren will be listening. So Killjoy, I'm going to give you a chance to respond to some of the things that Remus Kane had to say for us here live on Sportswire Radio.
Remus, it's like I said before, I haven't forgotten what you did. I also love the fact that, and Reverend, this might be a bit of a bombshell for you, you didn't tell him the full story, did you, Remus? You didn't tell him what happened after the match.
So what happened after the match then?
Well, everything he said was mostly accurate. He battered me with chairs. He put me through wood. He smashed me with a kendo stick.
30 times. 30 times he got that kendo stick hit. 30 times.
I broke the stick over his back. What can I say?
As the Method Man song famously was, bring the pain. I bring the pain. I bring the pain. You definitely brought the pain there, my friend.
Absolutely. And, Remus beat me. And it is what it is. But the bit he failed to mention was after the match, instead of just leaving me, instead of just leaving my broken body, because it was broken. I'd just been dropped on my head onto a chair after that very, very painful last rites he gave me. But he went out the ring instead, picked up 2 chairs, brought them back in, placed 1 chair on the ground, placed my head onto that chair, got a second one, and was about to cave in my skull with a concerto. He was about to nearly shorten and end my career before it could even get started. And quite frankly, had it not been for everyone's and my favourite golden boy, Conor Cage, and of course, the absolute legend, Pride, I might not even be here, Tom. I might be still in hospital recovering.
Yeah, I don't know where you be right now. You might be somewhere, who knows, in a coma, might have a broken neck. I mean, who knows what could have happened to you? I mean, you certainly would be somewhere not near with us here on Sportswire Radio.
Absolutely. And so I find it funny. The version Kane told of the story on Sportswire Radio was that, he was tough. He was strong, and I was able to just put him down with all my heroic might. But he missed out the part where he nearly tried to end my career after the match was over. And quite frankly, much like Tom Steele, I haven't forgotten, and I want revenge. And whether that means I have to go through Ginger Snaps, DeCaro, whether that means I have to go through the lawman Kyle Kennedy after he's finished with my boy Conor Cage, I will do so, because society, the Killjoy doesn't forget, especially Remus. Remus, you don't just get to end my career, or nearly end my career. You don't get to try and nearly break my neck and think I'm not going to come after you. Remus, I'm putting you on notice now. Whether I qualify for the tournament, whether you qualify for the tournament, what happens tomorrow at GTM, the Killjoy cometh, and the Killjoy is coming for you, and all your society boys as well.
All right. Listen, I got a couple things here, and I got the Lawman Kyle Kennedy in a comment. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is coming back Thursday once again with Slugger Hampton of CCW. And certainly Mr. Slugger had a lot to say about the Lawman. The Lawman has had a lot to say about him. But I'll get to all that Thursday night. But I have to ask you, and I asked this to Champ Rogers, I've asked this to Conor Cage, I've asked this to pretty much everybody that's kind of gone a back and forth. And the Lawman Kyle Kennedy has another comment, and I'll get to it in a second. I promise for you, and I promise for the Lawman. But I have to ask you, though, I mean, are you concerned, though, about the numbers game? Because the society has the numbers. They have Remus Kane. They have Robert DeCaro. And they have the undefeated Lawman Kyle Kennedy, who's 5-0. Everybody knows the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is undefeated. Are you concerned, though, that you don't have the numbers to back you up if you get into a fight with any, not only just who you talked about, but any of the three in the society?
The numbers game, they have the advantage over me, obviously. They have that, it's 3-on-1. But I have friends. I've got my good friend Conor Cage. I've got Champ Rogers, Supersonic, Sammy Blue. I've got Pride. I've got people that I can trust, and people who I know would very much like to take it to the society. And I've got a question in terms of Kyle Kennedy. Is Kyle Kennedy undefeated because he's strong, he's tough, and he's powerful? And he is all those things. But is he undefeated because of his ability? Or is he undefeated because he hasn't faced the Killjoy yet?
Wait. Did I just hear this? Let me just see, because I know sometimes people tell me that I have to get my ears checked or my ears cleaned. So I do realize that, right? But let me just hear this correct. Did you say that the Lawman Kyle Kennedy is undefeated only because he hasn't faced Killjoy, the Cult of Killjoy? Is that correct?
Tom, I would never say that. That's absurd.
Okay, well, I guess apparently it looks like a potential challenge is on the way here, and the Lawman Kyle Kennedy has responded and says, "Is that a challenge, kid?"
My friend, you're fighting my boy. I'll fight your boy. I have no problem getting in the ring with you, knocking that goth girl makeup off your face.
Wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here it looks like the Killjoy cometh is a coming. Could he be starting a greatest hits package? Stay tuned. And Conor Cage says he will back you up anytime. And then let me get to the boss here. That is Joshua Snow here. We've had on here a couple different times, and Mr. Snow says, even if the society have the numbers, they don't have the heart like you do, Killjoy. And Kennedy versus Killjoy would be a treat to witness. And I also want to give a shout out to Joshua Snow, because I was listening to Joshua Snow's commentary, and I said, boy, Jim Ross has nothing on him. Boy, Tony Schiavone has nothing on him. Boy, Corey Graves has nothing on him. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee. I mean, listen, Matt Stryker, D'Lo Brown, you name them all. They had nothing on Joshua Snow's commentary. So I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Snow's commentary for YouTube's NSAW coverage. And I also want to give a shout out to somebody that we might know of, that might know somebody. And this individual says that Gungho Motley is a big fan of Killerjoy. I'll say that. thank you for all you've done for me, Killjoy. So, would you like to say anything related for this individual to pass along, maybe to Mr. Gungho Motley?
Absolutely. Me and Gungho, we know each other through Blackheart. We're both very good friends with Mr. Henry Winter. We're both very good friends with each other.
Yes.
And we might be getting onto this later, but some not very nice men decided to attack my good friend Gungho Motley at a Blackheart show recently. And
I'm getting to that next.
The Killjoy will absolutely not let that stand. Obviously, Killjoy loves Gungho Motley. Gungho has helped me a lot with my wrestling. He's helped me a lot. He's taught me quite a few stuff. And I very, very much respect Gungho Motley. He's an absolute legend.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gungho Motley. And obviously, Gungho Motley, we've seen his work in GTM, obviously Blackheart, Nonstop Action Wrestling. And I am definitely a fan of Gungho Motley. And I'm looking forward to seeing Gungho Motley in the ring there tomorrow night as a part of the NSAW Showcase show. So I'm very, very excited to see Gungho back in the ring and looking forward to having Gungho back on Sportswire Radio, because something tells me there is unfinished business still between Mr. Motley and Mr. Goliath. So certainly there is a lot there on the pike. But I did want to touch upon Blackheart Wrestling, because obviously that was another where I think it was the start of the Nonstop Action Wrestling coming out party a little bit, was a few weeks ago over there at Blackheart Wrestling. And tell us about your role there, and tell us about what happened and what you just touched upon, and sort of another unfortunate incident there for you.
So for the past few shows, rather, there's been a group that's been attacking Blackheart talent. There's been a group that's been sticking their nose in Blackheart management. This group, they call themselves the Strangers. Strangers, we don't know who they are. We don't know their we don't know their face. We don't know their names.
They're strange, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they've been on the tear recently through Blackheart, and actually at Blackheart Incision back in June, they decided to attack my good friend Gungho Motley and unfortunately injure his leg in a fall.
That's not good.
And I'm very much out for revenge. And of course, with my mentor Henry Winter, me and Mr. Winter were very close. He's taken me under his wing. He's taught me a lot. I've been able to get my start in Blackheart Wrestling because of him. I owe it to him to help him deal with this little stranger issue. And believe me when I say Team Winter will absolutely take care of this stranger problem Blackheart is having. And hopefully Gungho's there right alongside us to join us in beating these masked men to smithereens.
Well, I think there it looks like that I might have just heard something that might have perked the ears of Mr. Gungho Motley, because apparently the individual that very well could pass a message to Mr. Gungho Motley says, Gungho Motley can't wait to pair up with you and take on those masked losers. So it sounds like to me that the challenge might be accepted, and maybe you and Mr. Motley could be teaming up sometime next month for Blackheart Wrestling. Is that the way I maybe hear this?
I would absolutely love that. And of course, invitation to Motley. Motley, if you're out there seeing this, buddy, I'm more than happy to tag with you, and we can absolutely whoop the hell out of those mass losers. Cheers, buddy. Absolutely cheers. Hope you're recovering as well. You'll come back strong, buddy. I know you. And
we're seeing him tomorrow night. Listen, at the Fountains Church, we're seeing him tomorrow night, and we're going to get a chance to see him in the ring. And again, such an intriguing matchup that is. I mean, you've got the wild card Tommy Dillon, who's the head trainer at Nonstop Action Wrestling. You've got Remus Kane, who you got a history with. We just spoke about quite a bit, and they're going to be up against Connor Cage, Champ Rogers, and Supersonic Sammy Blue. I mean, this is really, really, really an intriguing match. I think that might, in some ways, might be the most intriguing match of all the matches, aside from the Rumble, because those 6 guys, I mean, I really would just say stay tuned and follow GT Ministries at GT Ministries UK on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also YouTube, GT Ministries, to watch the show like I will. And of course, you can go to sportnarium.com/play, where we'll stream the audio version. For whatever reason, if you're blind and you just want to hear the audio of it, we are streaming it. And I might do some commentary. I might do a little bit. I'm sure I'm gonna now almost be goaded into it. But we'll probably do something at some point. We'll pick and choose, and we'll see how we can come up with that. But I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportzwire Radio, and having a lot of fun here with our very good friend, Mr. Killjoy. Gonna be with here probably about another 20 or 25 minutes. Then we'll get the scenario of Nathan Gunn of the LWF, and we'll get his side of the story. Another guy who will certainly be the life of the party, has a lot to talk about here. So I look forward to being with him in a little while. But we're hanging out right now with Killjoy, getting almost a calm before the storm here between the Forbidden Door tomorrow night being open between the likes of Nonstop Action Wrestling, GT Ministries, CCW, BTW, Blackheart Wrestling, you name them, tomorrow night, you're going to see him over at GT Ministries, ready to rumble. And something tells me here we're going to be seeing a lot from Killjoy and many other companies. But there is a company that I do want to mention, because you were actually a big part of it in a way, a company that's a very, very well-known company, and a company that we spoke about quite a bit here on Sportswire Radio, and that is TNT Wrestling. So you got to talk to me about your experience in TNT Wrestling and anything else that we should know about here.
Well, TNT, they've welcomed me like family. I'm very much grateful for TNT, because again, that's another place like NSAW. I've been to places before, didn't feel the vibe. I got there, I felt very welcome. A lot of those guys, they're really talented. I was recently on their last show. I fought a man by the name of Juggernaut, John Allens.
Okay.
Big dude, big dude. And yeah, it was really nice to be a part of that atmosphere. Really nice to be a part of their shows. I cannot shout them out enough. Yeah, there's a lot of good things happening for TNT. Maybe a few belts might have in mind. Hopefully down the future. And who knows? Hopefully soon I'll be able to wrestle for TNT again. And hopefully I'll be able to maybe get some elbow room at the top for old Killjoy.
Well, I like to ask, because I kind of mentioned it, because there's obviously somebody that I've spoken with many, many times here in Sportswire Radio. Somebody that was actually the first UK wrestler I ever interviewed, because he was a boxing champion, and we had a connection because the old Sportnarium Radio, which we turned into Sportswire, we have a new website that's actually debuting in the near and distant future, which will change the Sportnarium name finally, where you can hear our audio stuff. But we had a boxing promoter running our station originally, and he had interviewed R.P. Davis, the Natural Born Fighter. And the Natural Born Fighter, R.P. Davis, has obviously been a huge part of things at TNT Wrestling. And I have known him for quite a while. And I wanted to ask you have any experiences or any memories of the Natural Born Fighter, R.P. Davis, that you might like to share? Because I know he'd love to hear this.
I don't know R.P. that well. I'm going to be very honest. I don't know R.P. that well. We haven't talked that much.
Okay.
I have seen him in the ring, and honestly, they call him Natural Born Fighter for a reason. That dude is honestly, he's amazing, he's incredible. I would love to get in the ring with him one day. Like, Killjoy vs RP, I think that would be quite a good match. I think I'd really learn a lot from that match as well. And yeah, I have big respect for RP, and hopefully one day I can get to be in the ring with him, and we can both respectfully kick each other's heads off.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I've seen him in the ring with the likes of 2-Bit, Keenan, Scotty Rock. You would fit in that vein. I got to tell you, because I've seen him in the ring with some very interesting opponents. Obviously, Sona Durson, he had a legendary feud with Sona Durson earlier this year. And I think he'd fit in very well because, like I said, I think about some of those opponents that he's been in the ring with of note. And I think, again, 2-Bit. I think about a Scotty Rock. I think about a Keenan evenly this past weekend over in KOW. I think he'd fit in very, very well with some of those opponents. So, you know what? I mean, certainly I'll make sure that Mr. R.P. Davis definitely hears about that, because I know that we're going to be getting the Natural Born Fighter, R.P. Davis, in the near and distant future here back on Sportswire Radio. So that's some very, very interesting stuff that I heard there. But I've got to ask, because I'm always curious about this in terms of different wrestlers, somebody like yourself who's an up-and-comer. What are your goals here for the rest of this year?
Goals for the rest of this year. Well, there's my current number one aim right now is get some gold. I've always strived to be a champion in pro wrestling. That is, for me, that's my number one right now. Of course, Fire and Gold represents an amazing opportunity for gold. And also end of September, I will be, of course, moving a bit away from the ring here, just me outside the ring. Move a bit to Dan Robertson territory. I will be moving away from the north. I will be moving quite south, so hopefully I'll be able to find some success down there as well. spread the good name of Killjoy down the south of England as well. And my hope is by December 31st, I could at least say I held gold at least once this year. That's my number one aim right now.
So moving is a big step, and that's obviously certain wrestlers move, and it could change things. I mean, are you nervous at all about the move and how it maybe will impact obviously your personal life, but maybe your wrestling career? I mean, because that's obviously anytime you move, it's like a big deal.
Yeah, like one thing I was adamant about when moving was I was able to keep this wrestling dream alive because I don't want to give this up for years and then come back to it. I want to keep it going. I want to keep being who I am. I want to keep being Killjoy. And I think I'll be able to do that from where I'm moving to. There's a school nearby, so I'll be able to keep that training. Hopefully start getting on some shows down south of England. That's my ultimate hope. The fact that I don't let my dream die while I'm down there.
Is there any companies in particular that you'd like to work for that you haven't got a chance to yet?
Yeah, AEW, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Not this year, obviously.
Well, obviously, we know you're going to wrestle there. We know you're going to win the World Championship. Obviously, there's no question you'll do all those things. But is there anybody else?
There's quite a few. Of course, British wrestling, the independent scene's looking really good right now.
Yes. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. People ask me actually all the time. They say, "Oh, do you watch wrestling?" And I say, "Yes." Obviously, I've always been a wrestling fan. Even before I covered wrestling, I always knew wrestling and such. But I probably watch more footage of UK independent wrestling by a wide mile over WWE and AEW because it's just. That's what I watch, is what I follow. I mean, I'd be honest. I mean, I catch Raw from time to time. I'll catch the opening of SmackDown before I go live in America for my American show. But I generally, in terms of wrestling, I mean, the UK wrestling scene is, for me, second to none.
Yeah, absolutely. UK wrestling's on fire right now, and I very much think that's good for the sport. That's good, especially for the British side of things. I feel like we're coming back. Like, I remember back in the glory days, 2015, 2016, when the UK scene was on fire. NXT UK may have tried to ruin it. We're coming back. We are absolutely coming back. We're coming back stronger than ever. There's a lot of places I have my eye on, of course, like the big ones. Progress, I'd very much like to work for.
Yep, sure.
Rev Pro, that's for me. Yep. Rev Pro's number one right now. Because of course, the school that will be there when I move down south is a Rev Pro school.
Okay.
That'll be a really good opportunity there to learn from absolute like legends down there.
Okay.
North Wrestling, I really like the look of course. Locally here, before I move away, GTM, that's a place I really want to go to, as I've said. Gareth Angel, I want to see the real him, but less on that. Yeah, there's a lot of places right now that I really want my eye on, that I really want to go to. Riptide in Brighton, that's a really good one as well.
I heard of Riptide.
Yeah, there's a lot of places that I really want to spread the good name of Killjoy in.
Well, I'll tell you what, you better follow Killjoy in the meantime on Instagram at kill_joy_x. And you also better follow him and like his Facebook page, Dan Robertson. Give him a friend request because I got a feeling that this guy is going to definitely be on the up and up, not only in the real world, but in the wrestling world and everything else in between, because I got a feeling that the guy's got the energy, he's got the heart, he's got the drive, he's got the determination, all things you need in order to make it. So I got a very, very good feeling that he is on his way to bigger and better things. I did want to touch back over to Nonstop Action Wrestling very quickly, and Tommy Dillon's the head trainer, and I know Old School MC2 was doing some training there before he got injured, and Disciple is doing a show, which he announced he was doing next Saturday. So I wanted to ask you and get your thoughts on some of the trainers in Nonstop Action Wrestling and how they've helped you in your career.
Well, Tommy I've known for a long while because, again, he's a UKW guy. I trained at UKW for months, and me and him got to know each other quite well. He's my granddad. He's my wrestling granddad. And honestly, like Tommy's lovely. He's absolutely wonderful human being. Like me and him have had
a great guy.
Like we've been in the ring together a few times. I'd very much like before September, I'd very much like at some point Killjoy versus Tommy Dillon. Who knows? Maybe UKW as well. Going back to a place I want to wrestle for. UKW is a big one for me. There's a lot of guys that I really want to get in the ring with. Yeah, Tommy's great. MC2 as well. Like MC2 has taught me quite a lot in terms of in the ring, especially technical wrestling, like submission wrestling, like technical wrestling. Sometimes there's been a hole in my arsenal. MC's helped me fill it quite a lot. He's taught me quite a bit, especially in terms of pacing in the ring as well. The trainers at NSAW, they don't just care about in-ring stuff. They care about psychology. They care about facials, as I've said before. They go in detail, and that's the best version of training you can get. And these guys are legit the real deal.
Oh, no question about that. There's no question when you have trainers like a Tommy Dillon and old school MC2 and the experience that they bring to the ring and the success that they bring. And I do have a comment from the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, which I think you might actually find interesting. And he says that you'd be a perfect fit for the society, just saying. Would you like to respond to that?
I mean, society, if I were to join it, top of the card, join the numbers game. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to mascara in the Twilight films, so I don't think.
Whoa! Well, listen, I heard Joel Cobra last night or the night before compare Remus Kane and the Society to a Kiss tribute band. Now I heard mascara from Twilight. So, I mean, certainly I'm getting all over the place in terms of euphemisms for the Society. So, certainly we are getting it all through different parts, different genres, different scenes. I mean, so certainly I'm going to take that then as a no then.
Unfortunately, and it breaks my heart to say this, Tom, I can't join the society. What a shame. What?
All right. Well, I guess, listen, the lawman Kyle Kennedy did offer you. He gave you an offer. I mean, I guess this in the case was an offer that you can refuse. So for you, this was an offer you refused. I mean, certainly we'll see if anybody else may take the offer. That will certainly be up.
In fact,
jump in.
Tell you what, I will only join society if Remus gives me a box of chocolates, an apology letter, and some flowers. Then I'll be right in.
Well, I mean, maybe Remus Kane would give you a box of chocolate and some flowers and a letter. Maybe he would. It's a possibility. You never know. You never know. Listen, anything's possible, I guess. I mean, so anything is. Stay tuned is all I could say, because something tells me here that those will be things that we'll see here on the pike. I want to ask you this question when it comes to the August 13th Fire and Gold tournament. Obviously, 8-person tournament we'll see to crown our company's first champion, and obviously we still haven't announced participants other than the Kennedy and Cage match. The winner of that match will be in the tournament. So I actually want to give you the floor in terms of make your case, because now we're about less than 30 days or so away from the event itself and the card and everything else taking place. So we still have some time. So I want to give you, Killjoy, the floor and make your case to management on why you should be one of the 8 participants in the world-class tournament of Fire and Gold for Nonstop Action Wrestling to crown our first ever world-class champion.
Well, and I'm assuming MX Knight, I'm assuming Mr. Snow, they'll end up seeing this probably. They might already be on right now. But here's my case. I have shown, if nothing else, have I shown the most strength? Maybe not. Have I shown the most speed? Maybe not. But what I have shown is I have a champion's heart. And that's something I believe. I have a champion's heart. I'm passionate about pro wrestling. I have fire. And it takes a lot to keep me down. Remus Kane is one of the most sadistic, most brutal men in British wrestling. It took him having to drop my head on a chair as hard as he could to keep me down. And then he nearly tried to end my career afterwards. And I can only think that's because he's threatened. Because Remus, Kennedy, DeCaro, whoever else you want to throw in there, they know what Killjoy is capable of. They've seen it. Some of them have even felt it. They've experienced it. And I believe that a champion should be measured by his heart, by his valor, by how courageous he is, by how tough he is. And I even got Remus Kane to notice how tough I really am. And I think I could do a good job with the championship. I believe that's something I can elevate, I can improve. And as well as spreading the good name of Killjoy, everywhere I go, I can bring that belt with me. I can put it as a flag. I can wave it. It's going this. This is what I represent. Power, toughness. I represent NSAW, and I'm proud to do so. And that's something that I really want. That's something I can use. That's something, if we're going this far with it, there's something I can use to honor people who couldn't make it, the people who unfortunately aren't around anymore. I can use that belt. That belt can mean something, not only to NSAW, and it's going to mean something anyway to NSAW, but that can mean something not only to NSAW, but maybe to British wrestling, to maybe even a larger audience, who knows, outside of wrestling. But I believe that's something that the Killjoy can elevate. That's something the Killjoy can use to pave the way for NSAW. And NSAW will enter a new era after Fire and Gold. There's no doubt about it. The way we're going, with especially the announcement MX Knights made, with Exordium, sometimes Slaughterhouse, the success of those two shows, we're entering quickly a new era, and I would absolutely be honored to be one of, if not the main face of that era as the first world-class champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we have a case that has been made by Killjoy, and something tells me here, the Killjoy cometh, the Cult of Killjoy. It very well could be a strong addition to the 8-person tournament to crown our first champion in NSAW history, but something tells me here we are going to be seeing a lot from Killjoy in Nonstop Action Wrestling, because he's got a lot of scores to settle still. He's got a lot on his plate, and something tells me here that we are going to be seeing much, much more from him in the near and distant future. And I'm very, very excited to see what this man brings to the table. Also, you got to plug your shirts. Where can we find those shirts again? Because I want to make sure people go out and buy a Killjoy shirt, especially if they're going to cheer you on. They're going to see you at the Be Strong Performance Fitness Center in Swinton. Where can we get a shirt of yours?
Well, I have a Pro Wrestling Tees page. I believe it's prowrestlingtees.com/KilljoyDR. Capital D, capital R. Go there. Join the cult today.
I'll tell you what, you definitely better join that cult, because something tells me here that Killjoy is definitely on his way to bigger and better things here. But before I get to closing thoughts here, I want to ask you one or two more things here. And first, I want to give you the opportunity to address directly, whether it's GT Ministries or any other wrestling company, why they should add you or look to add you as a part of their upcoming programs.
I can't think of anything. I'm not shot joking. Honestly, first of all, as I'm saying, I'd be thankful, I'd be honored, I'd be grateful. But I have, like I've said before, I've got a champion's heart. I'm tough. I won't stay down easy. I'm stubborn in the ring. You cannot keep me down. I will come at you with everything you've got. I will come at you with everything I've got. And I believe one day the cult will absolutely sing the praises of yours truly. I believe I can one day get better, get stronger, get tougher, get quicker. And I believe I can elevate a company who, whether they're local or whether they're already well known. I want to be a part of the new British wave of wrestling. I want to be one of the faces of the new wave of British wrestling. And I believe I can elevate companies. I believe I can elevate championships. I believe I can elevate the cult. And that's something I very much care for. That's something I very much want to do in the future. And so any companies out there, if they're interested in the Killjoy, you know where to find me. You know my Instagram, Mr. Bryce's.
Kill_joy_X on Instagram. That's where you can find him, and definitely find him.
You remembered my username better than I did.
Well, because I'm always remembering the plugs, because that's the most important part. That's always, you got to make sure we get your name out there.
Any companies who want the Killjoy is more than open. His arms are wide open, and he's ready to spread his good name and yours as well.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen here, those are some things that I am very, very excited about. And I want one company in particular to pay attention very close that we do a lot of work with on Sportzwire Radio. That is GT Ministries. GT Ministries, you may have an up-and-coming roster. You may have some talent at the academy that are going to be debuting. But look at this man right now. Look at what Remus Kane did to him, but he's still here. He's still standing. Look at what they've done to him in Blackheart Wrestling. Look at where he's been in places like TNT Wrestling. This is the guy that I'm telling you is going to be around. He's going to be around for years and years to come. He's got the energy. He's got the heart. He's got the determination. Something tells me here, for whatever reason, I think about the Anthrax song. And John Bush, the singer of Anthrax at the time, you could tell I could like heavy metal. And he had said in one of his lyrics, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." And I believe this was the song King Size. So for Anthrax, this was the song, and he goes in the middle of it, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." This is what Killjoy is. I'm telling you, if what Remus Kane did to him, what everybody else does to him, it will not kill him. It will only make him stronger. He would be an excellent addition to any company in the near and distant future. But I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to share, say, plug, and obviously it's been a tremendous honor. I obviously want to have you on more often. I obviously want to see you in the ring. I'm looking forward to seeing you hopefully August 13th. Also, Blackheart Wrestling August 6th. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
August 7th.
Okay, August 7th. Okay, so Blackheart does the Sunday shows. That's interesting. They do the Sunday shows. Some companies do Friday shows. Some do, most do Saturday. And then there are some, I guess, that do Sunday. So Blackheart's one of the few that does Sunday. But there are Friday shows, like BTW does Friday. And then Saturday is usually most of our companies. And you have Blackheart Sundays. Okay, so August 7th, we're going to hope to see you. August 13th. And I'm looking forward to all of that as well. So I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to share, say. And obviously, it is a tremendous honor to have you. And I'm looking forward to the future, my friend. And the floor is yours.
Buy a t-shirt, everyone. Buy a t-shirt.
Yes, give him some money. Give him some pounds. He needs the pounds. I don't mean pounds in weight. I mean pounds in money for our American people, just so you know.
Well, August 7th, Hold Your Nerve. Blackheart Wrestling presents Hold Your Nerve. Absolutely amazing show. Get down there. Guiseley Theatre. The times are slipping my mind right now, but please go to Facebook, follow Blackheart Wrestling, like their page. We've got some really interesting stuff coming out. And our anniversary show as well in September. That's absolutely one to look out for. Blackheart 2. I can't remember the date. I think September 2nd, I believe the date is. I might be wrong on that, but I believe it's September 2nd. Love interest stuff happening at TNT as well. Follow them, give their page a like. And of course, goes without saying, NSAW Fire and Gold, August 13th. Fingers crossed the Killjoy cometh. Of course, management haven't announced yet. I don't know. But hopefully very, very soon, I can grace places like NSAW, like GTM, maybe even in future, places like UKW. Hopefully I can do that one day with the World Class Championship. ProWrestlingTees.com/Killjoy, DR, capital D, capital R, if you want to buy a Cult of Killjoy t-shirt and join the cult. And of course, goes out absolutely saying, please go to Sportzwire Radio, like their page, follow them. They've got amazing people.
Is it just like my page? Because pretty much I'm the man behind Sportswire Radio. So, I mean, obviously at this point. Now, we used to have, when we were Sportnarium, when we first started out as Sportswire, there was a guy that was running it with me still from the old Sportnarium days. But basically, he had a baby, and I think he kind of like wanked out of kind of doing anything in terms of just like promoting and such. So it's pretty much what you see on Sportswire is pretty much me just sharing everything. So at this point, we are pretty much a one-man band, and certainly I don't know how much longer I can be a one-man band. I'm certainly trying as hard as I can to stay as a one-man band, but obviously we'll see what the future brings. But in the meantime, yes, if you are liking Sportswire Radio, though, you are certainly liking everything we do, and of course, great talent as well, especially with the likes of Killjoy here, and certainly the Cult of Killjoy. He is definitely on his way to bigger and better things, and I am very, very excited to see what he does. And I got to ask you one more thing, because I'm waiting for actually the scenario Nathan Gunn to come on here, so I got a minute to kill. Is that a real tattoo, or I almost have to ask?
That it's not a real tattoo, don't worry.
I was wondering, because some wrestlers have. I had Chris Urban on, and from New York, and this guy was like Like he had the tattoos like out in his shirt. I'm like, wow, okay, that guy's real. Like I was wondering almost. What I'm kind of saying is that a real tattoo for a second? I almost had to ask, some subconsciously. So, well, maybe one day. I don't have a tattoo at the moment because I'm always like, should I get one? Should I not? I always think back. So I'm glad that it's maybe not real because when it's real, you'll know it's real. So
Yeah,
I hope.
absolutely.
And I also have to know real quick, did you kind of copy the CM Punk style a little bit in the fist? Because that's my automatic first thought with the design of the shirt.
The CM Punk logo was inspired. In terms of the shirt, I've mentioned where the cult idea and the Cult of Killjoy idea came from. But in terms of the symbol, CM Punk inspired the logo, yes, with the red X on the tape.
Yep.
And then, of course, the smile came into it. Hey, combine the two. Wow, it looks lovely.
Hey, why not? Listen, why not? I always used to remember as a kid, real quick, before we get on the scenario, Nathan Gunn, you'd have sometimes like the smile. So if you were into like, if you had rock patches or if you were into rock or you dressed like a rocker, quote unquote, in school, you would kind of have sometimes like a happy smiley face patch or a sticker. And then you'd have like maybe like a rocky type of patch, like a hard rock or rock, whatever band you were into. So that was automatically some of those things. But we are certainly looking forward to obviously the future of Killjoy here on Sportswire Radio. And again, if you like what you hear from Killjoy, do give him a follow on Instagram at kill_joy_x. Also, give him a friend request on Facebook. Also, you can see him pop up on Nonstop Action Wrestling, all of their pages, certainly YouTube, Instagram, Facebook here. And he will certainly, I promise you, be a part of things here in the near and distant future. And of course, one more time here, I want to plug as we wait for the scenario, Nathan Gunn, very quickly. Nonstop Action Wrestling will be in full effect here August the 13th, Fire and Goal, which we'll have much more coverage for. Monday night with Dante O'Cara. Also, we'll have Wednesday night, we'll have from CCW, Dustin Hart. And then also we will have more coverage of GT Ministries Ready to Rumble because, well, I'm going to be doing some audio commentary of it, it looks like. So we'll see all of that. But my friend, I can't thank you enough. And go get him out there, and I'll speak with you very soon.
Thank you very much. Hopefully I'm on a later date. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Tom. 3 cheers to the Reverend.
All right, as we were here on the Sports Report, we'll do it one more time with Killjoy. As I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce, and we're bringing him on because now, well, he's almost become the unofficial third man of our LWF Power Hour, and he's on a winning streak. Listen, we had him on a couple weeks ago, and he told us he would get the job done, and he definitely did, and he proved some people wrong, especially the likes of the Asset Stephen Cross and also Wildfire Nate Reese, and that is the aforementioned the Scenario Nathan Gunn!
Better every time.
Definitely the dude that fights. I noticed the jacket. The dude that fights, and you definitely are fighting. And I gotta give it to you.
I don't think that means anything else, DTF. That's what I've heard.
Well, I wasn't going to repeat anything that we couldn't say on Sportswire Radio, but certainly I would say that you are the DTF, the dude that fights. And listen, I got to give it to you. You know, we question where the future would go with Blazing Guns. We question where you guys are in the LWF, but you guys are alive and well, and you guys got some momentum now.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You know, came on here and I told you we'd get it done. I felt it this time. I mean, we've been partying a little less, and I can't believe I'm saying that. That makes me feel sick.
You said that. Wait, slow down. You said you've been partying less.
Just a little bit. Tactical party. That's what I've been doing, and instead we've been throwing down some new tag moves, and they seem to be working quite well. So yeah, I'm playing 2 from 2.
Is it? Because you said a few things interesting, and we want to get to this. We are now joined by the Scenario Nathan Gunn. If you like what you hear from the Scenario Nathan Gunn, do give him a follow on Instagram at Pro Nathan Gunn. But you said something interesting that you haven't been partying as much. Is this almost, how can I put this, a more mature, a more serious, the Scenario Nathan Gunn? No, I'm serious because, you know, you've talked about the fact you're partying less. You've talked about the fact that things are different. You had some stuff that was added in the arsenal. I mean, it's almost like, is this an evolution, maybe is a better way of the Scenario Nathan Gunn? Is this an evolution of what we could expect from you going forward in the LWF?
There's an evolution element, sure, but I said partying less. I didn't say not partying. I mean, I'm like 3 beers in, mate. So
all right, fair enough. Three beers in for me would be like I'd be dead and drop dead, because anybody who doesn't know this on
professional,
Sportzwire Radio,
professional,
I don't. Well,
professional
I'll be
partying.
honest, I do not drink at all. I am probably like CM Punk times CM Punk. I mean, I really just don't drink. So I mean, but for you,
Hey, you don't need to have fun at a Nathan Gunn party. You know this. We'll sort it out.
Well, that's true. I have not been to a scenario Nathan Gunn party, but I did hear the fact that you're partying less.
Just look, just a little bit, a little bit of time in the tag team gym, as it were. But there's plenty of partying still going on. Look, I think we found the balance. Maybe that's what we were lacking. Maybe that's a better way to describe it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Thank God I had a Pepsi just near me, because all of a sudden I was about to choke on something, and I haven't ate anything. So miraculously, I'm glad I have a beverage next week. Otherwise, I would have been falling and I can't get up, and we would have just said, well, maybe the senior Nathan Gunn has to party on his own. But obviously, some big points here. So I mean, so we walk away with this victory, and certainly it's a big one because. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Wildfire Nate Reese, the scenario Nathan Gunn, that you got the old college victory over. So it looks like the Wildfire Nate Reese run of terror here in the LWF seems like it's hit a stop sign. No pun intended.
Yeah, no. Look, I was obviously looking for Stephen Cross. I want a knee fight with that man.
You still want that knee fight? You sure you still want that with him? I mean, I asked. Listen, I'm going to get to it in a little while, but I asked Bentley about it, who's making his debut in the LWF, and he was like, "I want Stephen Cross." I mean, but you're saying you still want him, but yet you beat Nate Reese.
This is true. Look, we'll beat whoever's in front of us. That's part of the new kind of strategies. It's about focusing.
So it's less about demanding challenges. It's less about trying to one up Getski. It's more about if I'm in the ring and I get the job done, I win my match. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, we've got to focus. I mean, let me be really clear. I can't stand Davey Getski. But...
Well, duh. I would think you still not stand him.
It's about trying to, focus on the task in hand, if you will. And when we're in the ring, that's winning. And as soon as that bell rings and we get the 1, 2, 3, like the last 2 matches we've had, then it's about partying, It's about not partying when we're in the ring. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's that balance.
Let's go back on that, because obviously now it's back-to-back wins. There's clear momentum. I think this is the first time I could say, I know we have a win over Getski at Monday Night Mutiny. I do know we have a win over that, but I kind of feel like now for the first time, you and Conrad Blaze have sustained momentum. And that sustained momentum, I think, now puts you guys kind of back into the picture as almost like, okay, you guys are viable now. You guys, whether it's in tag team championships, whether it's in singles, you guys are viable now. Or I think you guys now legitimately now, okay, we can now talk about blazing guns back into the discussion. Do you guys feel that way now that the momentum is with you and that you guys now all of a sudden in the locker room know, you know what? Blazing Guns are viable again. Blazing Guns are contenders now. Is that what you feel?
I think we always felt viable. We just knew that we, because we've had a few chances. We've earned those chances as well. Some people say we didn't, Nate Reese. But I think we just beat him and it threw him, didn't we? So I don't know. But
Nate Reese right now he's in trouble right now. He's in doo-doo.
And
by the way, how was the wave like when it came to Nate Reese? How was the wave there? How was that wave? When he got waved, the wave was like the wave. You guys were doing the wave. It was like he got thrown back in the ring there.
Look, he took tail and run, didn't he? And that's not party. That's not party, man. I had to go get it.
He was the party, figuratively and literally, and then the party came crashing down once you guys threw him back in the ring when old Bob Costin got his hands on him. So, that was kind of, I guess, the end of days, no pun intended, for Wildfire Nate Reese. And then you kind of took what's left of him, I guess, right afterwards, last week over there at the Army Reserve Center in Buckshot.
Well, hang on, you're not devaluing my win, are you, brother? Like, I took what's left.
I'm not devaluing your victory. I'm actually saying that you picked up right after Bob Costin left off with him. You picked up, and also, listen, you're the benefit. Listen, I got to give you your due. You're basically our unofficial third man here of our Power Hour, and you got the job done. Listen, I can't. There's nothing I could say. You won. Listen, you've got wins now. You've got legitimately, like, I have to ask the question here. Is it now a singles in the card here for the scenario Nathan Gunn, or is it you and Conrad saying, you know what, back-to-back wins, let's go on the horse here and jump into this tag team title situation still? I mean, hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to go for it.
Well, look, I'm feeling it. So, look, I'm tag titles, LWF World title. Let's have it all. Let's let the Blazing Guns have it all. That's what I'm thinking.
Well,
I'm feeling it.
Well, you mentioned the world title, and obviously, I'm sure you're aware of an old nemesis of yours and somebody that we've had on here quite a bit on Sportswire Radio as well, is going to be challenging for that LWF World Championship very, very soon, next month, that is. And that is, of course, Mr. Davey Getsky, of course, a former Castle Cup winner and also somebody that has also been there in the ring with you. You also hold a victory over him. So, I mean, I have to ask you, I mean, what do you think of this whole situation now between Getsky and Reynaldo? And, I mean, Summer Smash is coming up here August the 20th, so we're basically another, I guess, 4 weeks or so away from that. I mean, what do you think happens here? Is this the moment that Reynaldo finally sees his run as champion end, or does Reynaldo dig down deep like the way you did at Monday Night Mutiny and beat Getsky? What do you think here?
Well, look, as a guy who's been in the ring with Davey Getsky quite a lot, you have to dig really deep. And he's obsessed. He wants that. He wants that gold. You know, something that's been driving him for a while now. Maybe it's burned in the back of his head a little bit, like, you know, when the Wrecking Crew were tag champions. But I think it's always been there. And yeah, he's a tough opponent. I wouldn't like to call it because obviously I always want Davey Getsky to lose, but it's a difficult one to call. It really is.
See, I have a different perspective on this, and I obviously like Reynaldo, and I do like Reynaldo. I'm a Reynaldo guy. I love Ray. How can anybody not like Reynaldo? But let me throw this out there in a different perspective, as we're with the scenario of Nathan Gunn coming off a huge victory last weekend at the Army Reserve Center at the latest LWF show, where he had defeated Wildfire Nate Reese, amongst others, in a huge 6-person match with the mysterious Mr. B, who was on prior, obviously, and everybody else involved with that. So we'll get into that shortly. 8-person tag, I should say. But when it comes to, though, Davey Getsky, right? And you have a victory over Davey Getsky, right? So we've talked about that on Sportswire Radio. But if I were to tell you, though, that let's say Davey Getsky beats Reynaldo and becomes the world champion, right? You hold the victory from process of elimination over Getsky. Wouldn't that then automatically jump you back into the line because you're the guy that's, correct me if I'm wrong, has the most recent victory over Davey Getsky? So wouldn't this mean that if you were to get that match against Davey Getsky, you could be the world champion? You talked about it. So let's say Getsky wins at Summer Clash, he beats Reynaldo. Shouldn't that automatically make you or jump you into the mix as a number one contender?
I mean, you make a compelling point. Surely it does. I mean, he doesn't lose a lot, doesn't Mr. Getsky? He's
not at all.
Proficient wrestler. So the fact that I, have beaten him this year, pretty recently, should count for something, definitely. And especially, even if you take our tag matches, we're on a winning roll right now, 2 from 2. So yeah, maybe if he beats Ray, and that's a big if, maybe they would look at me, and I would, nothing would give me more joy if he did beat Ray than to take that title from him. So
because you have a victory. Listen, you have a huge victory recently. Oh, no, this is no more about the party. This is no more about fun and games here.
Ooh, it's not always. There's still pie.
Yes, but being the world champion is different here. And August 20th, there's a possibility that Getsky could win here. There's a legitimate possibility he could be the world champion. And wouldn't you selfishly say, you know what? I want Getsky to win because, you know what? I'm the guy that holds the last victory in the LWF over Davey Getsky. That could automatically make me the number one contender.
No, I don't. Look, like I said, I think we should push forward in every direction. I want to go for the world title. I want us to go for the tag titles. So, but I want to fight whoever's the best. And if that turns out to be Ray on the day, I don't think, I hope Getzky wins so I can, come out of the woodworks and upset him. I just want to fight the best. So, may the best man win. And if it happens to be David Getzky, upsetting sentence. But if it happens to be him, then it happens to be him. But it's it's a tough match for both lads.
Now, I'm assuming you're going to have a match on August the 20th, so obviously we'll stay tuned, I'm sure, for the LWF's page on Instagram for the announcements for that, the LWF Wrestling on Instagram. So I'm assuming that you'll be in a match of some sorts, right? So I assume that, right? So safe to say, right? We'll see what happens, obviously. I'm sure we'll talk with everybody from the company about that in the next few weeks. But would it also be fair to say, let's say you're trying to be subjective here also and say, you know what? Maybe even if Reynaldo still retains, do you feel like you would still be a worthy number one contender because you still have that victory over Getzky and Nate Reese?
Yeah, I think when you string in a few wins together, you can definitely be considered, can't you? I mean, I think
it's the first time, I got to be honest, this is the first time I feel like that having you on, that now I could see, you know what? The scenario Nathan Gunn, like he has a real viable case, a path. I mean, look, it's all. I know it's fun in games. I know we joke around, we love each other, and everything else. I get that, right? We've known each other for over a year and everything else. Right? You've come on. You're basically our third wheel of the LWF coverage in Sportzwire already, right? But I feel like now, today, July 15th, 2022, in the LWF, the scenario Nathan Gunn now. I feel like for the first time I'm covering the LWF since we've come back since COVID, that you are like a legitimate contender to winning gold. Like you are somebody that I can see now because of the run that you've been on the last several months, that I feel like that to me, you are the dude that fights. You are the scenario because the scenario right now shows that you're a true contender right now.
Yeah, no, it's like, we took a show off. We didn't.
You were doing commentary. You remember when I had you on and you were doing commentary? You went from doing commentary to now you got wins over Getzky. You got wins over Reese. You've been involved in mixed tag matches that you've won. Now it's all of a sudden like it's happening. Like now it's no more like, well, okay, I'm gonna ask you, well, what do you think about this match and that match? No, it's like I should be asking you about now your thoughts about maybe being the world champion, your thoughts about being in the main event, your thoughts about being there. Because you know what? You beat Getzky, and Getzky's in the main event. Well, why not you? You went over Nate Reese, and Nate Reese was in there in the ring with who's who of people, and he was running his mouth on Bob Costin for 6 months. And, well, you beat him. I mean, everything that you've been doing of late says, you know what? The scenario Nathan Gunn deserves to be in the discussion.
Like we took that month off and we came back to play, like to properly play though, not just. I think we maybe took that party into the ring too much, and but now we took that month off and kind of reevaluated, and even from a singles perspective, like you said, with beating Getzky, I mean it's no mean feat. I mean he's an incredible competitor. I mean I'm pretty sure am I the only person to beat him this year?
In the LWF.
Yeah, in the LWF. So, it's no mean feat to beat him. So, we came back with a different attitude and gold on the mind, obviously. But we're going to earn our way to any gold, and that's we're 2-3 wins down now. So. It's looking good. I mean, we'll put it together, stringing it together.
It reminds me of, for whatever reason, a video game. It actually reminds me of the original Mike Tyson Punch-Out, where you were actually going up in there. I was a baby playing this game. You were kind of you're building up the ranks, and all of a sudden now it's like you get a couple of wins, and you're not quite yet going to fight Mike Tyson, but you're getting there. And I feel like right now, like you're on that. The last couple, you got a couple big wins. It's back-to-back huge wins in tag matches. Obviously, Cross, you've beat him a couple different times. He didn't get pinned, but obviously his team's lost. Nate Reese loses. Now it's like, okay, now it's like, you know what? I can see you. Like, you're a contender now. It's like, okay, I have to talk about you in a different light. And that's why we are here with the Scenario Nathan Gunn. You can follow him on Instagram at Pro Nathan Gunn. You can follow the LWF on Instagram at the LWF Wrestling, LWF on Twitter. Also, like their YouTube page, LWF Television, because we are getting ready for yet another event coming up that is Summer Smash here, August the 20th at the Buckshaw Village Community Center. And something tells me here that the Scenario Nathan Gunn is going to be a huge part of things. And I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you like what you hear from us on Facebook, you can give us a like on Sportswire Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And we are speaking with the Scenario Nathan Gunn, and we are talking all things related here to the LWF and much, much more. So I have to ask you, I'll get back to all that here. I'll get back to Stephen Cross in a second. But I wanted to ask you because I had on a wrestler last night you might have heard of, who's actually announced it here, that he's making his debut in the LWF later this month upcoming at Monday Night Mutiny. And his name is Bentley. Bentley is the vigilante of pro wrestling. I don't know how familiar you are with Bentley, but I wanted to ask your perspective because Bentley's been a big deal. He was in the main events at places like BTW, GT Ministries. He was in PCW. I mean, he's been a number of different places, and he's been in there with the likes of Sean Only. He has a huge victory over Franco Varga. He wrestled in a main event, and also wrestled Rarebit for the world title. I mean, he's been in there with Jack Johnson. You name him, he's been in there with him. Also, Disciple, he holds a victory over, and he's going to be a part of things tomorrow night over at GT Ministries. But Bentley's a big deal. He's coming to the LWF for the first time, and wanted to get your impressions on somebody like a Bentley coming into the LWF, because he had a few different things to say, and wanted to get your impressions on how somebody like this you think fits into the LWF.
Well, I think the LWF attracts the best. So it makes sense that Bentley's there. I've seen some of his work. I've seen him in BTW. I've seen him in some of these other places, and he's got something definitely. So no, I'm excited to see what he does. Obviously, I'll keep an eye on it, because I've got to have a strategy if it comes to it. I don't know if it will, but no, I think he's great, and I think it's good for the LWF.
I look at the scenarios, no pun intended, that you could see him in. And obviously, I think of the asset Stephen Cross. I think about Davey Getsky. And actually, you would like him because he said he does not like Davey Getsky because he knows Davey Getsky.
He's already my favorite.
He knows Davey Getsky from Bolton Town Wrestling. He knows the Wrecking Crew. So he said basically he's not fans of Mr. Getsky and Mr. Stone. So he made that case loud and clear that if he comes to the LWF, he's definitely not aligning himself with Davey Getsky. So you definitely like him, to say the least. So definitely, I think you definitely like him. We'll see how he does here in Monday Night Mutiny. So those are some great things that we'll find out here. But also want to get to in terms of where we go forward, because you've said a lot about the asset Stephen Cross. And the asset Stephen Cross seems to be, I guess, wrapped up with the mysterious Mr. B. So what did you make of this whole thing with the mysterious Mr. B and the sweater and the hoodie? And I guess we saw Stephen Cross finally live on Sportswire Radio for the first time. What have you made about this whole, I guess, spat, maybe, quote unquote, between the mysterious Mr. B and the asset Stephen Cross?
Well, last time I was on, I told you about that. I'm a fan of Mysterious Mr. B. I think he's great. And I believe I called him very handsome. I think that's the sentence I said. Let me tell you, I stand by that. You never want to see this man without his mask on. Looking fella. But in terms of wrestling perspective, he's played some mind games with Stephen Cross, hasn't he? A little bit under his skin.
I think it's been the mysterious Mr. B that actually seems like he's playing the mind games on the asset Stephen Cross.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
He's played a few mind games and gave him a little kiss, and I think the asset might have liked it. So.
Hey. Did I just hear you say that you think the asset Stephen Cross?
Well, he protested, but I think deep down, I think it would have
listen. That's a first here that I would have heard of it. actually supposed to have him last week, and he had a scheduling conflict, and he was supposed to get Nate Reese on himself tonight, but I unfortunately don't have much of a voice after our interview prior, so they're going to have to wait till the weekend. But this is certainly news to me. So you're saying the mysterious Mr. B trying to get him to smile? Is that the way I'm hearing this?
Well, I just look. I mean, you can talk to Stephen Cross about it, but just tell him that Nathan Gunn says you look like he liked it, and I don't blame him. He's an handsome man. So, but no, he's played some mind games, and he's got under the skin of Stephen Cross, hasn't he?
Oh, he sure has. I mean, he certainly sure has. But I really can't get a read on this because, I mean, when it comes to the mysterious Mr. B, I mean, it certainly seems like the mysterious Mr. B has, I guess, kind of maybe one up the Acid Stephen Cross. I mean, I guess, but I mean, it's kind of, I don't have a read on it because something tells me here that you're saying that the Acid Stephen Cross likes all this. I mean,
no, I don't think he likes all of it. I think he just liked the kiss.
Well, no, but I think the one thing he likes is beating up the mysterious Mr. B. That's what he's made clear on Sportswire Radio.
Well, I think he beats him up because he's hoping for another kiss. That's just my read on it. It's just that, look, I'm a partier. I see people kiss people all the time. I'm just saying, I'm going to get beat up by Stephen Cross, aren't I? Is he behind me? Is that...
And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we had some technical difficulties because we are now waiting for the scenario Nathan Gunn here. So we apologize for a little bit of that delay. So we hope to get him back on because unfortunately I lost internet and we are now waiting for him to come back on. So it looks like the scenario Nathan Gunn, apparently my scenario was that I lost internet connection because all of a sudden I'm like, hello, hello. And then I see that, well, I lost internet. So we came back on. We're back on here. So we appreciate whatever time you have left with us. But I think the only thing that the Acid Stephen Cross likes is beating up the mysterious Mr. B. Everything else, I don't know. I just don't. So that's what I think.
Look, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. And to be fair, I won't badmouth him much more because I feel like he's cut the connection there. I want to keep talking to you, so I'll I'll just say nice things about it.
Reese, unfortunately, I was telling him, well, I don't have much of a voice left right now, and unfortunately, I don't know if I can have our regular spot because I literally don't have much of a voice left, and I have to go back on live for our American audience later on tonight, New York time, and then now I'm streaming a event for GT Ministries. So if I do another hour with Nate, I know I'm going to pay for it. So I'm trying to hang on for dear life, but we'll figure out with that. But so then going forward here, we have Summer Smash, big event, August 20th. I'm sure we'll get an announcement here soon about what you're going to do, what your tag team partner is going to do. But I feel like it's safe to say that you feel like that there's going to be something big coming down the pike here. Is that what you think?
Well, we're talking about what my role is going to be at Summer Smash. We're talking about it, and yeah, whatever we kind of figure out for Summer Smash. A couple of ideas have been floated, but whatever it's going to be, it'll be a big kind of reveal, a big statement match. Like I said, we're slowly building. We want to fight on all levels, and I feel like we are doing that now, and it's just a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling, I got to tell you.
I definitely think it should be. And again, these are reasons why you most certainly want to follow the Scenario Nathan Gunn again on Instagram at Pro Nathan Gunn, and all great things related to himself and everything related to the LWF, which is coming up for another big event here, August the 20th. And anything else you want to speak about related to the LWF? Anybody else that you like to address? Well, we've got another about 5 or 10 more minutes with you, because we realize you're a busy man. You're getting ready to party. I'm sure weekend for you is going to be basically like nonstop party. You're probably right now waiting to leave to go to another party afterwards. And the weekend's probably like all party central for you, I assume.
Pretty much, man. Yeah, pretty much.
I figured that.
A little bit of planning in between. Now, I've got the system. But no,
is the system any different?
Yeah, well, it is a little bit. There's just a little bit of planning in between shots. You know what I mean? It's just
okay. Fair enough.
How will I beat him? Shot. You know what I mean? So, but no, I think addressing wise, if you're on the fence about coming down to Summer Smash, come down. We've got plenty of matches that I'm sure will be announced. We'll figure out something for myself and my tag partner. So the card will be amazing as always.
Listen, LWF
I don't know if any of you want to watch a David match,
but it's Reynaldo for the world title. You have to watch. It's the main event. I mean, what do you? We have to.
It's the only reason I'll be watching.
Look, here's the. All right,
Look, we love Ray.
I'll give you a good way to watch Getsky. Here, you ready? You'll like this. Here's the way to like Getsky and watch a Getsky match. He's going against Reynaldo, right? So you want to watch Reynaldo kick his butt?
Yeah.
That's a reason why you want to go to see Summer Smash. See, there you go. That's why you want to watch.
That's why you're the man.
That's how you think. You think, listen, you may not like Getsky, but you want to watch Reynaldo get the job done and get a victory. That's what you want to watch for. So that's why I would say go out there and watch Summer Smash and all the great things that the LWF has. And I have to say one thing, though. The Bob Costin, Mr. B video, especially the Bob Costin one with the cards, that was an awesome video, by the way. That video with the little music. Did you see that one? Right before with the cards coming out and Bob was like super excited. That was awesome. I have to say, and I don't give Bob Costin much credit for many things, as you know. But that Bob Costin video was phenomenal. That was one of the best videos I think I've seen in a long time. That was just awesome, I have to say. You got to do something like that. That was killer with the cards.
Well, mine would just be, you don't want to catch me on a non-scheduled time.
Fair enough. Fair. Hey, well, you're always busy. Listen, we're even lucky to have you right now. The fact that we were able even to spend like a half an hour, 35 minutes with you. I mean, it's just, listen, we're very lucky. I mean, listen, we're very, very lucky and grateful to have you on here. There's no question about that. So, I mean, I want to give you the floor, though. Let's give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to share or say? And obviously, I'm looking forward to the future. And actually, one more thing. I mean, Mysterious Mr. B at the parties. I mean, does the mask work with the chicks? Okay.
Well, like I told you, man, if he takes that mask off, it's too easy for him. It's too easy, so he keeps it on as a challenge.
No, I got actually listen, before closing thoughts, I have a simple solution to that. Actually, this is what I think, and I haven't been at the parties yet. When the Mysterious Mr. B takes the mask off, there's a mask underneath.
Maybe there is. I've never seen him take the first one off.
Well, that means the mask might just. Who knows?
But no.
Yeah, Lord knows. Lord certainly knows here, but we're certainly we're falling off the cliff here a little bit. That's what it is. But I'm going to give you the floor. Then anything you want to plug, share, say, and I know I'm losing my internet. It seems a little bit, so I'm going to let you speak, let you say anything you want, and any plugs and anything you want to say to the LWF and management, fans, and congratulations, man! It's you're on a winning streak. You're a legitimate contender. So I think that now it's a more mature, the Scenario Nathan Gunn, and despite what you may say, and the floor is yours.
Well, I'll try and keep it short and sweet because your internet is definitely upset about the Stephen Cross comments. So
It is.
I'll just say that, look, we're 2 from 2. We're 2 from 2. You know, we said we'd take some time off, a little bit of time, and we'll come back stronger, and we have. Whatever Summer Smash ends up having in store for us, or me, we'll rise to the occasion again, I'm sure. And yeah, you know, come and grab your tickets because, you know, regardless of what we're doing at Summer Smash, you've already got an amazing main event, even if it does involve David Geske. So I guess that's what I'd say, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. You want to follow the Scenario Nathan Gunn on Instagram again at Pro Nathan Gunn. Also, the LWF Wrestling on Instagram, LWF on Twitter. Also, please follow them on Facebook. Also, YouTube. You can see great content. Monday Night Mutiny is also coming up here later toward the end of the month, and that'll be also out right before Summer Smash. And we'll have on Mikey Fitz. We'll also have the Asset Stephen Cross back, Wildfire Nate Reese, who unfortunately I'm going to have to postpone because, like I said, I don't have much of a voice and I have to go on live later on. So I need to save whatever I can left. So for you, my friend, I definitely thank you as always. Congratulations on the big winning streak, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you soon. And definitely keep up the good work. I'm sure we'll get you on before August 20th. All right, so ladies and
cheers,
gentlemen,
bro. Always good to talk to you. It's always a party.
It's always a party when we have the Scenario Nathan Gunn, and unfortunately on Sportswire Radio for now, the party is ending, but we will be back tomorrow night covering GT Ministries Ready to Rumble. We will also have more LWF coverage this weekend with our Power Hour with the Asset Stephen Cross. We will also have Nate Reese back next week, and more coverage will continue also when it comes to our Sportswire Radio regular shows, as we would join with the Scenario Nathan Gunn. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Good night. We'll be back tomorrow night and also tomorrow morning, UK time.